Hello.
Hello.
We were
Happy Monday.
getting, yeah, I know. I was like, how is it Monday? I literally left last Monday that evening and I just got home like the day before yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
other than
tired.
freezing your balls off, how was it?
Very cold. It was good. It was good. Yeah, it was like much farther than I had anticipated. But it was good to see some friendly faces and some old friends, and yeah, it's nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Successful first marriage to do outdoors in 11 degrees. The boogers were like streaming down my face and there wasn't a microphone stand. So I just like held up the microphone in front of my nose. So like at least for picture purposes.
They can hear you breathing through your nostrils, but it's fine. They just can't see it. That's all that matters for pictures.
I'm a Leo rising. You will not.
No. Oh my gosh, that's wild.
Yeah, so we made it short and sweet. And of course, like the day before the wedding, I decided like I was going to try out a couple new Hebrew words. So why wouldn't I put myself on the spot to speak new Hebrew words live on a microphone in front of people? Yeah, why
I'm
not?
sure you killed it. And I feel like even if you didn't, you could just be like, sorry guys, I'm not pronouncing this correctly because it's so cold. You know, I feel like you could use that. It's the cold.
Exactly.
Cold.
Exactly.
I like that.
All right, so Megan's not with us today, so I'll do the intro. My name is Julie. This is Elle. We're with the Academy of Logic and Light. We are a peer-to-peer education platform that empowers students and teachers to practice their spirituality without indoctrination. So if this is your first time watching, we have over 40 plus videos from the very beginning on our YouTube. You don't even have to subscribe or give us your information. It's just free information. We also ask that if you're watching live, you pull your birth chart from astro.com so that you can ask us all the right questions. And if you want to teach with us, we have a teacher intake form, and it's in our links, and underneath here, there's links to take you to the places you need to go. And then we have, in 2 weeks, our in-person event, which Megan will be teaching, and it is about the pagan calendar, the cyclical year, which is going to be super cool, and that'll be at Cucina in Salt Lake City in the Avenues. So without further ado, I will run a quick intro, and it is still coffee and astrology. So.
I'm actually having fun tonight. So
Nice.
I think this is not my first, but it's one of my first. I don't normally drink and do the live, but today was the day.
I'm here for it. It's Monday. The energy's a little funky. It feels like murky.
We've just been so busy that I'm like, okay, I just need to like chill, have a glass of wine. That was at 4 o'clock. Here it is 7. I'm like, well,
yeah,
have a little more than one glass.
Yeah, never works. 4 glasses later.
We're fine. I still know all the things, and I can still teach.
You could do this hammered 100%. Yeah, I have complete faith in you.
Well, today we are doing the 8th house, which feels so appropriate because we are going through, and I'm not going to go into transits and all that, but we are going through some transitions. There are some things that are going on out there. So the 8th house is all about transformation, intimacy, sex, death, rebirth. And so it has all of that energy kind of bundled up into it. So when you think of your house ruler and whatever sign that's in, and how that kind of correlates with the 8th house, if it does or doesn't, it can kind of see how you transform and how you grow, and how sexual relationships are, how they come to you, how they don't come to you. I mean, there's a lot in the 8th house. So the 8th house is fun. The depths of your soul.
I'm into it. Okay, so I will add this one really quickly to the stage. We'll literally draw, so we'll re-explain.
So as you can see, my 8th house is very empty, which doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that I don't have 8th house energy going on. So you see the 8th house, and then my 8th house ruler is Cancer. This makes me a crybaby. Not really. It actually opposite of that. I'm not a crybaby at all. But what I would do in this case, because we're going to go through all the signs, we're going to pretend that we're going through each one that represents the house ruler of the 8th house, and then we're going to chase the planet that rules that sign. So in this event, since mine is in Cancer, we would go look at the sun or the moon. Sorry.
I was like, okay, that's new.
You're like, wait, everything you've taught me is a lie. No. So we're going to go to the moon because the moon rules Cancer. And so then you're going to take, so my moon is in Taurus in the 5th house. So you're going to take those two energies. And this is where, again, we're going to kind of the same as last week, use your knowledge and understanding of what, the 8th house brings. Then you're going to follow it to the planet that rules it. And you're going to just kind of correlate how those two work together. If you think about it, the 5th house is very fun. It's very playful. The 8th house is not very fun or playful. It's very serious. It's very deep. So if you think of this in the terms of like how I transform and rebuild, it's there's kind of a clash there because I have this 8th house that's empty, but the ruler is in my 5th house. And so it kind of shadows that 5th house a little bit. And then my moon being in Taurus, there are some things that I'm going to go through each one and highlight, but the moon being in Taurus and then Cancer ruling the 8th house can indicate a lot of children. This is also the house of fertility. So I have, if you know me, a bang of children, and I'm a Cancer ruling my 8th house. It all kind of correlates into having multiple children, having a lot of children, and being this motherly figure that I've been since I literally graduated high school. So this has been my whole life. Children have been my whole life. And this is a huge indicator of how it plays out for me. Obviously I get pregnant very easily. 8th house can really signify fertility and how easy it is to get pregnant. The moon or Cancer ruling it with my moon being in the 5th house of Taurus, the 5th house being of children. I hope that helps like link all of that. I may have said that really fast, but it does correlate. It does connect, and it is very validated. Okay. Now my 8th house is empty, so you could look at it and be like, well, you don't have anything going on, but it really kind of pushes down to my 5th house. So
that makes sense. I love that it brings it back to children. That's amazing.
I'm very fertile.
Do me. Please tell me I'm not.
Okay. So Lily's is in Pisces. So do you? So we're gonna look at 8th house and Pisces, and then we're gonna go to her Neptune, which is in the 4th house, right? Sorry, I need to make my screen bigger. I'm like, why is this so hard?
I always confuse. No, Neptune's the other one. Hold on. Right, that's Uranus. Isn't Neptune?
Neptune is in the 5th house, right?
This one. Yeah, Neptune.
Sagittarius. So let's take Pisces, this spiritual, just very spiritual, very connected to the divine, and very, I don't want to say loner, but kind of. In the 8th house, they really correlate, kind of like my Cancer. It correlates really well in the 8th house because they're both water. The 8th house is kind of like this emotional flow. Pisces is emotional. So it gives you this connection of emotions, but then you look at where, your Neptune is. It's in the 5th house. Again, fun. These two kind of overshadow a little bit, but yours is different because yours is not the moon. It's not in Taurus. Like we all know the moon is fertility and Taurus is very motherly. Yours is in Sagittarius, and Neptune is dreamy, and it's almost like when things can go hard, when things maybe crumble, you can like rebuild in a very illusion positive kind of way. It's really strong knack for rebuilding. And so yours doesn't channel so much about children, right? Again, mine was Cancer, moon, 5th house, children. Hers is in the 5th house, but it's not signifying children. It's signifying this illusion, this fun and adventurous spirit that really can use like the illusion of kind of escaping reality, because that's kind of what Pisces does, right? Pisces, they escape reality. When your Neptune's in the 5th house of fun, you may cover up emotions and hurt and pain with fun. If that's too deep, I can like surface level it. But okay, I know we're all very like transparent here, but I'm like, sometimes I'm cautious. So this person, I would say, is someone that would, when hurting, when in pain, they don't so much show that. They cover it up with like probably humor, dark humor, funny, kind of Sagittarius energy, like, oh, everything's fine, even though they may be in this like turmoil kind of energy. They really can mask it and project almost like an illusion to other people that they're fine when maybe they're not. This is probably the best at that kind of placement.
Yeah, that's accurate.
He's not okay, guys. You need to know your friend's not okay. But you think about it. You think of, the 8th house Pisces energy, and then you follow Neptune to the 5th house. It really is a masking. Neptune likes to hide things. You can be, tricked in this sense, but this is more of you're the trickster. You're the one that's creating the facade and making an illusion of something that's maybe not. And it doesn't necessarily have to be emotions. It can be, the 8th house is very secretive, and Pisces ruling your 8th house is through and through a very secretive combination. And so you really create this mask of something of your life that might be very different than what people perceive, or you only allow them to see so much, is what this kind of energy is.
Interesting.
Are you even who you say you are? Is your name even really Julie? I need to know.
Oh my God, I literally just had this conversation. Like, I don't think that my name is Julie. It doesn't make sense. It's just not a name for me.
It's not very fitting. I feel like.
No, it's not. Yeah.
There's so many other names I would give you.
I know, right?
I love it.
Yeah, I've been saying this from the beginning.
Name change. You can do it.
Yeah, which is great.
Monday with Elle and Sabrina. It was the first thing that came to my mind.
The teenage witch.
Right. Cheat sheets. Here are all the cheat sheets.
Screenshot this if you guys want, or you can Google it. But this is a nice cheat sheet to like bring it back. Let's see. What did she say? Katie just says, Katie's watching. Hey, Katie. She texted me, but she's not sending the message in the chat. She says, I can't message on YouTube. My 8th house is in Leo. Can y'all elaborate for me?
I would need to see where her sun was. And the degrees matter too. So I would say if Leo rolls your 8th house, you might have a very, not knowing where your sun is, just an overall generalization.
Sun in Taurus.
In what house?
I'll tell you right now.
I would say that can set up someone for a very like strict personality, someone who really doesn't play around. Their schedule's their schedule. They're really good at setting boundaries. When shit hits the fan, there might be a little bit of anxiety kind of personality trait here, but overall, they are really good at taking control and making sure that everything gets put back on track.
Sun is in the 4th house.
Okay. So yeah, I would say with family matters, it can be very, I'm trying to think. I'm such a visual person, so when I see a chart, but if you think about it, Leo over the 8th house of transformation, intimacy, sex, all of that. Leos are very fierce in how they handle things. Again, your sun being in the 4th house, there may be a lot of family issues. You may need to take control of things when it hits the fan in your family. You might be the one that kind of puts everyone back together. It could be that kind of energy. So
I think that is accurate.
It checks out.
Yeah.
We all need those people. I'm definitely not that person. My 4th house and my 8th house are empty, so I'm like.
Yeah, she said it was accurate.
I love that. Awesome. All right, so we're going to go, we're going to play the game that we've been playing through all the house rulers. We're going to start at Aries. We're going to pretend that your Mars is in the first house. Or sometimes I like to throw a curveball in there and I'll put your Mars in some other random house. But I just want to help you connect the house ruler with the planet that rules that sign. And so you can connect the houses and whatnot. So if your 8th house ruler is in the first house, or let's say Aries rules your 8th house. Think of Aries energy. Aries is direct, they're fierce, it's a cardinal sign, it's a self-starter, gets shit done. 8th house, this might be a person that's really good at initiating like sexual encounters, or might be really good at, again, this can be, think of like crumbling and rebuilding kind of energy. They can be really good at rebuilding and starting from the ground up, very assertive, takes action. Let me think of some more things. They might handle death really well, in the sense of pushing through, maybe not so much emotionally. It would depend on other things, other aspects in your chart, but they might, again, maybe there's some like heavy Neptune and they can create an illusion as well that they're doing okay when they're not. So this one, because they like to mask as well, they don't want to show emotions. And the 8th house is really, it's deep. It's very, spiritual, intuitive. Aries has that, and they can kind of sense it. And they also, I would say, can give a really strong connection to like the underworld, the spiritual world, or whatever the other side is, whatever that looks like for you. So this person could really tap into that with that Aries energy. So if you have Aries ruling your 8th house, not so much a bad thing, but maybe just try to practice sensitivity in certain circumstances, whether it be death or maybe even birth. This would be like a good placement for someone bringing children into the world, like a good nurse. Like I've had nurses when I've given birth that are like cheerleading on the side. You're pushing. It's very intense. If you've ever had children, you know how intense it is. And to have someone there, my sister is an Aries. It's always nice to have her there because she's like yelling in my ear, like very aggressively. And I need that. She's probably not Aries 8th house. She might be, but just really good at helping bring birth into the world, right? Sorry, make it look right when I said that. She's like very aggressive, but yeah. So good at bringing that in. So that's kind of Aries ruling the 8th house. If your ruler of the 8th house is in the 2nd house, so if this would be Taurus, which think about it, Taurus over the 8th house would be the opposite. Taurus 8th house. Taurus kind of rules the 2nd house. Opposite across from the board is Taurus. When you think of Taurus energy, you think of consistent, you think of frugal, you think of, Venus energy. There's a beauty to it, but also a comfort to it. And so this is a person that I would say really values other people's, not values, value's not the word. They can value, but really maybe has some luck in possessing other people's possessions or taken care of by other people. Taurus can be a provider, but they also, can be like a good, whether it be a male or female, because I'm trying not to give roles to certain sexes, but they really can do well with other people taking care of them with this placement and providing, and then they're being kind of the home person, the home care. You know what I'm trying to say.
Caretaker.
Yeah, caretaker, but for the children in the home and all the things. So, but there can be some, give and take with that, because if you think about it, when you have the opposite sign ruling the house, that it's completely opposite side of the wheel, it can be like you want to be possessive, but you also, want to, not control. And the 8th house can typically be kind of this controlling, depending on what's going on there, it can cause this kind of controlling nature for the native that has a lot of planets in there, typically. Depending on what sign rules it, Taurus ruling it Taurus can be a little possessive too. So when you have two possessive energies there, it makes it kind of a little more possessive. But a good placement. I mean, I definitely wouldn't say it's a bad one. It's just the opposite, which can be challenging. If your ruler of the 8th house is in the 3rd house, danger of accident while traveling, death of brother and sister. Yeah, that was one. I'll try to keep it as light as I can here, but that can indicate, I mean, it is the house of death, but it also could be rebirth, right? You could have a lot of siblings. It could mean that I wonder what my kids have. I need to look at their signs because they definitely have a lot of siblings. So this could indicate a lot of siblings. It could indicate, depending on what it is, like, let's say that Gemini rules your 8th house and Saturn is in your 3rd house. That's a huge indication that it could be a death of a sibling. Because Saturn is a teacher. I mean, it depends on what you chose to learn in this life, right? It could have nothing to do with death of a sibling, and maybe this life you chose some other way of learning or growth or involvement through siblings. But death is a really good teacher. Like, as much as we don't want to admit it, when people die, it teaches us really fast not to take them for granted or not to take anyone for granted, and all that. So I'm not going into all that, but it can indicate that. It could also mean, so if Gemini rules your 8th house, so then you follow your Mercury, because I'm getting off track here. So follow your Mercury, and wherever your Mercury is, you need to connect that house, that sign, with intimacy, initiating sexual partners, other people's money, death, birth, and kind of correlate that and how that works into your chart. So that was the 3rd. I read, normally I don't read, and so I just kind of like talk and I let the, fun facts be on there, and danger of accident while traveling really caught my attention.
Yeah, some of them I just want to reiterate, we did not write them. They are on there, but I have a chart that I want to show you. I sent it to you, but I'm adding it.
Yeah. And it could be like a lot of people associate death with like the end of this life.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. Like have you ever had a best friend that's like when you're younger? Think of like your younger years, and you have this friend that's wild and fucking crazy, and you're like, we're going to do everything and anything possible. We're going to get into a lot of trouble. One of us, probably both of us, going to jail. And like you have this person that's like so fun and lively, and then they have a kid. And it ruins everything. Like, it's almost like that person died. And they're like, no, I got to be in by 10 o'clock and I've got a schedule and my child needs this. You know what I mean? Like, there's that kind of energy that like this person like sheds off or dies from this like wild, spontaneous, crazy psychopath to like a really responsible parent. It sucks for the friend who lost their friend, but that also can be associated with like death or transformation. So like when we say death, it doesn't necessarily have to be that they're dead and gone from Earth forever. It could be that your sister had a kid or got a cat and is no longer this wild heathen that you once were when you were children. So
could be death of a circumstance.
Death of being fun. So
okay, I want to show you this one. This one's a wild one.
Ooh, fuck. So it's worse. Okay, we're gonna
8th house.
Scorpio. But listen. Oh, and Saturn's in there. I hate when I see Saturn.
We've got a stellium in the 8th house stellium and a Scorpio stellium.
And Scorpio's in Scorpio. So okay, but Saturn is in Sagittarius, so
that's more fun though, right?
That's kind of nice, I can appreciate that. I feel like, let me see. Again, this doesn't have to mean death, like ending life forever. I would definitely say this person could be prone to like depression or sadness, but at the same time, with that being said, there is a very optimistic viewpoint that this person could have. So, I would say intuition, probably spot on, probably never wrong about intuition, probably like, this doesn't feel right, let's go, we're out of here, and then the whole place blows up after they leave, kind of intuition. It's a grand time. So that's nice, you know. I mean, it's not necessarily bad. And I don't love a Libra moon, but it's in the same house.
I'm a Libra moon. What are you talking about?
I know. My husband's a Libra moon. I love a Libra moon, but I don't think it's the most fitting placement. It sometimes, you know, it doesn't. Libras are so practical and they're such thinkers that having it in an emotional spot can be very challenging. And you, my husband, you guys have Libra moons, and his is like Gemini Sun Libra moon. Like you can't get a more like favorable placement than that. But there is a struggle there, and there is like an emotional struggle because Libras don't like to feel emotions. And then you both, like my husband's a Gemini, you're a Capricorn, on top of your son's not loving emotions. It's like, and then you're a Leo rising, he's an Aries rising. Emotions are not it for you guys. And so, and this person having a Sagittarius sun, a Libra moon, I mean, that's not the worst. And then an Aries rising, it's just not most favorable for. But let's follow this. So we're going to say this is Scorpio ruling the 8th house. So we're going to go to Pluto, which is in the 7th house. This person probably transforms and learns a lot and maybe has an issue or had issues. Maybe it could pass in younger years with relationships, and they have to like rebuild, and there's been a lot of struggle. And maybe it just doesn't align for them always, because even their Venus is in the 8th house and Mercury. I would just say there's a lot of challenges with relationships, ultimately. But it doesn't mean they're doomed and not going to have good relationships, because that's not the case here. But they also may not want a relationship. This is kind of placements too. Someone who doesn't really, they want relationships, they go back and forth, but making up their mind might be very challenging. I don't know who this person is. If you're watching, and I'm offending you, I'm sorry.
They are.
I would love nothing more than to have a Sagittarius sun and a Libra moon.
I know.
That's a good one. I wouldn't say this is a bad thing. I think this person is probably pretty lucky. And then if their relationships don't work out, they probably don't give a shit. On to the next. Hello, Ellen. So yeah, not bad.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm still navigating how to do all of these. Okay, I got so many screens open. All right, we're back. Thank you for doing that.
Yes, of course. All right, ruler of the 8th house and the 4th house. So let's pretend Cancer, myself, rules your 8th house. So then you follow your moon to wherever your moon is. We already went over mine in the 5th house and that kind of energy with children. Let's use your moon is in the 11th house. Total opposite of mine. Children, it's friends. So this person really incorporates friends in their lifestyle. Friends probably surround their whole being of their life, especially like in your moon in the 11th house. I'm trying to think of different ways to connect it. So the way that when things crumble and fall, they may turn to friends to help rebuild. This person may have a lot of sexual encounters with their friends. Like, you're probably still friends with a lot of people. You know, you ever meet those people? They're like, oh, I have had sex with everyone in the friend group, and we're all still friends. That kind of
yes.
Nothing wrong with it. No judgment for those of you out there. But this is that kind of energy. If it were in the 11th house, let's pretend that your moon is in the 11th house. But again, you can kind of correlate. They might also have this nurturing way about them in the friend group, because you connect the 8th house with the Cancer, with the 11th house. And so it all kind of correlates and speaks, depending on other things in your chart, of course, and how other aspects in your chart. But yeah, 4th house, Cancer ruling your 8th house. I'm going to also say very intuitive. This is where I'm not a super feely person, which doesn't make sense in this aspect, right? But the way that it all connects, I just know things. I'm not like, oh, I feel something's wrong. I'm like, something's wrong. I know it. It's not a feeling. Yeah. It's a no. So
I'm the same way.
I call it the portal. The portal is doing something, and it's in my brain. It's not in my heart or my feeler thing.
Quite cognizant.
Exactly. All right, moving on to the 5th house. if your ruler of the 8th house is in the 5th house, so let's pretend that Leo rules your 8th house and your sun is in the 5th house. It can mean loss of a child. Again, we try to keep it light. So these are just kind of, again, death does not have to mean like actual death. It can be in different terms or levels. Anytime I see Leo ruling the 8th house, I think of intuition, like this strict intuitive person. I don't want to say like not a super amazing personality, but there can be just this kind of like, depending on other things, but it can give kind of a stiff personality, someone who can't relax. Leo can take things very seriously, and the sun, depending on where it's placed in the chart, may indicate that. And it might be really hard for this person to relax, take a breather, just kind of, flow. This isn't really a flow. You think of Leo, it's fixed. You think of 8th house energy, it's kind of fixed. And then depending on where the sun is, if it's on a fixed sign, like your friend, for instance, who's a Taurus sun in the 4th house. I mean, 4th house can be a little cardinal energy, but when you connect them together, she probably has a really hard time relaxing. I would say that's a really hard placement for someone to just relax. So maybe take a breather, maybe take a yoga class, get a massage.
I got her addicted to reality television, so.
Oh, okay. She's chilling. She'll be chilling. I love that.
Just relax.
Just relax. Just watch pointless television for hours. You will feel so much better afterwards.
That's what I keep trying to tell people.
All right. If your ruler of the 8th house is in the 6th house, so let's pretend that Virgo rule is the 8th house ruler. Again, I've been really bad at following and being like, you got to follow Mercury. I said the sun and I've used the moon, but so Mercury, Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Jesus, sorry. And so if you have Virgo ruling your 8th house, you're going to see where your Mercury is. And that is communication, the way you think. And then you think of the 8th house, which, again, death, transformation, sexual partners, just trying to recap all of that. Put those two together, like how you think, how you talk. This could be someone who is mentally stimulated by sexual encounters, or they think of people, they see people, and they instantly think of them sexually, or how they can benefit from them. A little manipulative here, a little kind of manipulation behaviors, because Mercury is a thinker, and 8th house is other people's possessions. How can I, attract or, just how can I get other people's possessions? I don't know how else to say that, but it can be very manipulative, and the way that they think is just very tricky. They can be intuitive, and hold on 1 second. Let me tell my kid to turn this down.
I think this might be the first time that Virgo is excited.
Will you turn that down, please? Sorry, unless everyone wants to hear "Hey Jesse."
I don't even know what that is.
It's a Disney channel. It's cute. Oh. It's not something you want to hear in the background. No. So one of the things on here, chronic illness. If the mental or the mind, the way you think and the way you speak about yourself are negative, this can really take an effect. This can create infertility. This can create issues with the ovaries, the uterus. I mean, you think of what Scorpio kind of rules, and I'm not trying to associate the 8th house with just Scorpio, but there are certain areas of the body that it can trigger and cause issues with. So if you think negatively, or you have a very negative way of thinking or speaking, then this can affect you in many different areas. So if you have issues having children, I would definitely check this. I would definitely check this area of your life and make sure that you're the way you're mentally thinking about things are in a positive and happy way. So interesting kind of energy. If your ruler of the 8th house is Libra, then you're going to look at your chart and see where Venus is in your chart, because Libra is ruled by Venus. And so what this can indicate is someone who falls in love very easily, and not just, depending on what planets are here, let's pretend that Venus is in Libra in the 8th house. This person is probably a nightmare in the sense of they use sex in relationships to create bonds, but then it really doesn't go anywhere, or there's not any real depth there for them, because Libra can be pretty light and easy, and the 8th house is not. It's heavy. And so it can almost seem as if this person is searching for something deeper, but it just never really doesn't go really more than the surface level. It can be, depending on other things in your chart, of course, but this kind of gives an easy lightheartedness to death. Like, not that you don't take things serious, but that you can kind of flows. You just kind of accept things. You let them be. Libra's nature is to be like a peacemaker, to be kind of flowy or whatever. So when things happen or do like destruct and you have to rebuild, there's probably this really easy, flowy, lightheartedness way about you. Trying to think of different examples to use. So let's pretend your Venus is in, let's say, the 2nd house, which your Venus would be at this point. If Libra rules your 8th house, then your 2nd house would be Aries. So Venus, Aries, let's just pretend that Libra rules your 8th house and your Venus is in the 2nd house of Aries. That can give you a very, the way that you look at relationships can be very sexual. It can be very impulsive. It can be very, not so much about like this affection and love. It can be more about power struggle, because 8th house can sometimes be a power struggle. And then you have Aries, Venus. That's a like that you almost have this need to control your loved ones. So just to kind of help you connect the two, if it were the opposite. So that would be some 7th house.
Interesting.
Some Libra ruling the 8th house. So I'm going to move on. If your ruler of the 8th house is its own, this could be very fortunate. That's Scorpio, the chart we looked at earlier. And so it gives you this depth, this really strong intuition, this understanding of the darkness and being okay with it and allowing it to be and exist and be accepting of it and it not be overbearing or overwhelming. I've known a lot of people in my life with this placement that are so okay with death that it's almost like they get it and they understand it and they accept it. It's almost like it's part of, like, they're okay with it. They don't freak out. They don't lose their shit. They're just kind of like, oh, this person passed. They're on into a better life and I'm really happy for them. And I admire that. I think that's really great. But I think this is that kind of placement. They also can have really strong intuition and very strong sexual desires. They may not look for platonic relationships. They may only look for relationships that are, romantic. Depending on other placements, I say that, and someone's probably like, I have lots of friends, but this could just be a placement of somebody who's just very sexual and loves intimate relationships.
That makes sense.
What is that? Okay. If your ruler of the 8th house is in the 9th house, so let's say Sagittarius rules death abroad. Sorry. Sagittarius rules your 8th house. I mean, it is possible. Sagittarius energy over the 8th house. They like to travel a lot. The chances of them dying in another country doing something crazy is probably very likely. But let's chase our Jupiter and say that our Jupiter is in a very fortunate 5th house. So we don't die abroad. We just have so much fun and so much luck in our travels. Maybe we meet Latin lovers or Italian mob men and just fall in love and have all this fun, and it be very sporadic and very fun, but also very sexual. Maybe you get out there and you find this Latin lover who leaves you all of his land and his, wine, grape, like, I don't know.
I'm going to start manifesting better. That sounds ideal, really.
Oh, I'm here for it. He leaves you with like his winery and this whole like fields of grapes, and like you just manifest and grow, and you get all of these possessions of other people's possessions through travel. When you think about it, it makes sense. You have 8th house, other people's possessions. You get a lot of, fortune there from other people. Why not meet a Latin lover who leaves you his inheritance?
You're going to dream right.
I know, you might as well. So that's that kind of energy. If you have this placement, I hope that you started journaling instantly, writing down the things that could happen for you. So that's ninth house. My daughter's laughing. She's like, I'm writing down right now.
Me too.
I love it. All right. If your ruler of the 8th house is in Capricorn. So this one's not as fun as Sagittarius. But think about it. Capricorn, over the house of death, can be very realistic. Maybe you make a career out of it.
A death doula.
Something, yeah. So, I mean, this could be someone who takes death and uses it as a ladder to climb, like a corporate ladder. Maybe you get to your, I don't want to go too into like Jupiter and adding things in there and really confuse people, but let's just say that you maybe climb the corporate ladder by someone dying in your company because now it's your role. Maybe they were never going to leave that role, but you got lucky and they passed away. Or maybe they evolved and started their own company or something. Like it could be different ways of death, right? So this person really kind of like the Leo, it can just have a very strict and intense kind of way about them, depending on other things in their chart. But anytime Capricorn's over the 8th house, I like to think this one is of a good position for like a stripper or a sex worker, because those are ways that you make money sexually. And what other sign loves to make money? But also they want to be like, not only make money, but they also want to be like known for what they're doing. So I don't know how that works in those worlds exactly, but they want to be like the top tier of the sex workers.
Like one of the famous porn people, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, exactly. Yes, that was a good one. So
leave it to a Capricorn. I got you.
This is what they really want. I know. So, yeah. Yes, that's exactly. They want praise and they want to be known. They want to be seen, but not in like a Leo kind of way. They want just people to, be amazed at their success. Yes. So that's that kind of energy. If your ruler of the 8th house is in the 11th house, so let's say Aquarius rules your 8th house. This one's kind of interesting because Aquarius is ruled by Saturn, so follow your Saturn in your chart, Uranus, depending on which one you look at, traditional and modern. But look at Uranus in your chart. Think of like Aquarius is rebellious. They're eccentric. They are the outside of the box kind of thinkers. And then it's ruling the house of death, sex, all the things that we've been going over for this last hour. They find different ways to, maybe they're very eccentric in their sex life. Maybe they're very eccentric in what they do for work, and it has to do with death. I feel like I use like morticians a lot, but it could really be, there's so much more out there. I need to expand my knowledge, honestly. I feel like I could take this so much further, but anything out there, detectives, these people are innovators in the way that they think. They're really good at figuring things out. And this, again, I can go back to Capricorn, would have been a good placement for that too. Figuring things out, getting to the bottom of things. It's just that kind of energy. But it also, depending on where Uranus is, can cause a really rebellious kind of energy and can get them in trouble, especially in the spiritual world. Like I could see someone with this placement, if it was an Aquarius ruling the 8th house, tapping into different realms, different spiritual worlds, maybe not having a ton of knowledge about it and just doing it to be rebellious, like maybe casting spells or summoning different entities that may not be the best for anyone, just for like the sake of doing it. So I'm not saying that you're summoning demons if your Aquarius rules your 8th house, but I mean, I can see it. Someone pissed you off and the demon gets sent to them, that's the thing.
Good to know.
But don't fuck with the Aquarius ruling the 8th house, okay? They're dangerous. Yeah. They're rebellious, and they're a little messy. I'm just saying. All right. If your ruler of the 8th house is in Pisces. So, again, Pisces being super spiritual, super connected to the divine, almost out of this planet, and then over the 8th house of, death, sex, all the things. This can give for a really secretive person, depending on where they're Neptune. Like for your chart, for instance, there's just this very there can be a facade a lot of times with these people. They can hide things. They're the master at hiding things, very secretive. Getting the truth or them really showing you who they are is kind of almost like a mystery. Like people that love mystery or love like mysterious people, this would be a perfect placement for those people, because they're going to always continue to guess and not really understand this person, because this person doesn't really open up or show who they really are in a vulnerable state. They just really would have to trust the person. And with this kind of placement, it's really hard to trust. So interesting. Yeah. And I made it through the houses really fast this time.
We did it. Yeah. I mean, I feel like we kind of just jumped into it today and we didn't have a whole lot of like side banter. But if you want to hear stories, I've got stories.
Tell us all.
Okay, you want to hear a great one?
I do. I love your stories.
So I'm at the wedding this week. Hold on, let me put on this last slide so at least it looks like we're being productive. So I'm at a wedding this last week in Vermont, and I get a text from my sister asking if it would be okay if she posted me on her Twitter as a single person looking for basically making me the bachelorette of Twitter.
Ooh, really? Astrologer.
Yeah, 157,000 views later. There was one good contender, and I talked to him on the phone for 4 hours last night. One good one. There's some real bad ones, but yeah. My sister was like, "I'm gonna treat my husband nice." Now I understand what single people have to deal with. One guy just sent a picture of his dog. Like that was like, I'm a 40-year-old woman. I can't be swayed by your furry pets.
do.
Let me see.
Wow, like, one out of all those people, though? I gotta ask, what's his sign?
He's a Virgo.
Oh, thank God. If you said Libra, I was gonna say no. Well, maybe you're Libra moon. That's different.
Yeah, Virgo.
Virgo's good. Virgo, Capricorn. He might be the one. What's his moon? Do we know his chart?
We don't know his chart yet. He's looking for his birth certificate. But the fact that he was even talking about this was a big deal. So
it is. I remember when Sage first started talking about astrology with me and like trying to learn it and understand it. I was like, "You are a unicorn. You are a unicorn." Most men are like, "Oh my God." Most men I date, I'm like, "How am I an astrologer?" And I date men that are like, "Oh my God, astrology." I'm like, get out of here with your.
For real. Just a white girl with a nose ring knows what the planets are doing.
I will say, and it depends on your chart, but I have been noticing, I myself have dated 2 Capricorns in my life. My son is a Capricorn and he was in love with a Libra. I just see so many Capricorn-Libra relationships, and I just cannot say this loud enough. Capricorns, we are never going to be the consistent person that we pretend to be in the beginning. I'm sorry. We're not. We love to play this role in the beginning. My son was the most disappointed. He was like, "She seemed so perfect." I'm like, "I know. She knew exactly what to give you." And then she was like, "Oh, okay, well, I guess I have to live up to all these expectations I've created." And now it's like, well, I've been there. I am the Libra.
Oh, man.
Stop. And Kristen Cavallari is dating a Libra.
That's hilarious. That's just such a good PSA. Yeah, public service announcements. Libras are never going to be as consistent as you want them to be.
Yeah, as consistent as we say we will be in the beginning. We're liars. Yeah. We think that. I truly have 4 people.
You believe it?
I did. I was like, oh yeah, I can be consistent. I'm very consistent. Blah blah blah.
You're consistent.
No,
I mean, you've been teaching astrology for almost a year.
I know that is true. I mean, I had a job for 10 years. I can be consistent, but in relationships, I shift. I change. Like, I'll be like, oh, I like my hair, it's dreaded, and then it's like pink, and then I'm like, oh, I like to be like this, and then the next thing you know, I'm doing something else. It takes a lot to keep up with me, and it's just not it for the Capricorns. They're like, you're acting weird. What's changed? Like, me, I've changed. It's who I am. I change constantly.
It's like you're Libra's a mutable sign, right? Cardinal. Oh, we got to do that next.
Yes. No, we're cardinal, and we shift, and we change. But so is Capricorn. But the thing is, Capricorn is just more consistent, and they pick up on little things that change and shift. Like if I start dressing different, Capricorns notice, and they think like, well, why are you dressing different? Who is he?
Interesting. Who is he?
Yeah, I've literally always get so much shit when I dated 2 Capricorns that have both said I've switched up.
Wow.
I'm so over. I switch up all the time. I'm still switching up. My Gemini appreciates it though.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I love it. Well, next week we are doing the 9th house, which will be super fun, ruled by Sagittarius. No, 9th house is Sagittarius. So that'll be exciting one and probably more uplifting than death.
It normally is, depending on what your placements are. You might be bored next week. So my Venus and my Mars are in the 9th house with an orb of my sun.
Ooh.
Which correlates. Talks about how I have done my careers in my life.
Interesting. And well, I'm excited to dive into that.
So
well, awesome. Well, thank you everyone for watching. If you have any questions, this would be the last second to put those in. Should have been 10 minutes ago, but it's fine. I'll allow it. And then we will be back next Monday with the 9th house. Thank you for everyone watching. We'll see you soon.
Bye.